Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Terri.
And I'm Lee.
Welcome to our house in Atlanta. Come on in so we can show you how we share it with others.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Be sure to visit our website, homeworthy.com, to discover amazing furniture, art, accessories, and more, all handpicked by our editors to help transform your house into a home. All of the items are inspired by the episodes you see here on Homeworthy. Enjoy!
Hi, I'm Lee Woodall.
And I'm Terri Woodall. Welcome to our home in Alpharetta, Georgia. When we initially moved to Georgia, there was no direct reason. Like, people move for family reasons, for friend reasons, for career reasons. We actually moved because we felt led by God. And it actually started 4 years ago, but it didn't happen right away. It would be 4 years later, in the middle of COVID, 63 homes later, we would find 2 houses and bid on them both. Uniquely enough, the one—
Wait. Please. You gotta hear what she said. 63 homes later. Can you imagine what I was going through?
No.
63
Listen, this
homes.
is normal
and she
for
still
women.
wasn't done.
Okay.
I was like,
we ended up with 2 that we bidded on, and both of them accepted our offer. One was actually completely redesigned already by my favorite architect, Harrison Design. And the unique part about it was that Lee had remembered being in that house when he was in the league. It happened to be a colleague of his in the league, and he had died of cancer. And although the house had been completely redone and totally my style, I loved the neighborhood, I loved everything about it. And we put in an offer. We ended up in the house that needed the most work. And ultimately, in the end, not only did it need the most work, it was totally not my style at all. Like, it was neoclassical, old school. I tell Lee he's like, in his former life, an old lawyer with mahogany kind of furniture and heavy dark colors. So we walked in here and I thought, oh my goodness, I am not gonna be able to call this place home.
and for 2 years she kept saying, this is not my house. This is Lee's house. This is Lee's house. This is Lee's house. She would tell all my friends, this is Lee's house. This is Lee's house. Until she got it done. Then when she redecorated, did everything, this was less than a year. She redid everything. Then it became our house. But before that, this is Lee's house. This is Lee's house.
I'm doing this for Lee. So at the time, what was interesting is, uniquely enough, we stood in this living room and there was a lot of work. I mean, everything from the lighting was dark and heavy. The walls were dark and heavy. But the one thing about this house was that it was constructed well. And I think that resonated with me because it reflected stability. And we stood in our living room and we prayed. And honestly, I was also like, the other house was smaller, same price, but smaller. And I looked at Lee and I'm like, dude, we don't need a house this size. We're getting older. Like, we need just comfortable space, a guest room for when kids come home, people to visit. Like, we don't need, there's just too much here.
She's opposite of me. I need space.
She needs too much space.
I need space. I'm a space person. I don't like to feel like people are on top of me. I like space.
He likes space so he can run and hide when I have company. Let the truth be known. For all of you people who know that Lee disappears when you're here, this is why. So anyway, quite honestly, we stood and we prayed. And what was interesting was we ended up finding facts out about this house. It had one original owner. He had built this house and constructed it in a way where it was meant to serve other people. And that was our heart, is honestly service. The rooms, including our guest rooms, are very nice in size. And his intention was to bring 20 of his family members together for 30 days. My husband told me, don't get any bright ideas. But the thing is that, quite honestly, our house is a revolving door and has been from the day that we've met each other. And we have been able to serve people who are in ministry, that are pastors, all the way down to, you know, hard everyday working individuals, celebrities that people may know. But our house has been a place, it's known as the healing house, and has also been nicknamed Rest and Refuge. And so this house ended up being a labor of love, and we were able to go through it and appreciate what was done, but at our own style and our own flavor. And I'm still getting used to the Southern charm of it all, but I'm grateful because so many people have left us notes on what our house has done for them. And outside of the foundation being so super strong, which is, I believe, a reflection of our relationship with each other and God, that I think that ultimately in the end, this is exactly where we needed to be.
And we understood. We understood this house symbolized the structure, and it symbolized us, and it did symbolize some of the people that came to visit. But we knew that we had to take some things that were old, and then take the new and adjust and blend them together.
Yeah.
And so we knew as a family that's what's important to us. So the structure of the house, yes, it's very sturdy, has things that is unbelievable, but
like our marriage.
Yes, it is. It symbolized our marriage, and it symbolized our marriage because in a marriage you always have to have that strength, and there always has to be that foundation that doesn't slide or doesn't crack or doesn't move. And that's what we learned in this house, is how to build our marriage on that. And then when my wife came in and remodeled, it was like God was remodeling us. And we actually sat still for 3 years before we did anything as far as the community and other things. But what that did, that showed us who God was to us. And that's what it symbolized. And that's what this house symbolizes. And everyone says that because we prayed over it. We've done a lot. Well, she's done a lot. I can't say me. I was the guy that sat back and was like, oh, honey, that's nice. You ever go see it? She would sit me in the place and say, honey, do you like this chandelier? I'm like, it's a chandelier. What are you talking about? We won't talk about how long you had me sitting in stores.
Oh my gosh. He brought books, highlighted, read, had FaceTime calls. There's a lot of meetings in stores, but I wanted his input. But quite honestly, even if I liked it, I was getting it even if he didn't. So. Yeah, we got the house because of him. I'm gonna get the light because of me. Welcome to the entryway of my home. My husband will be joining us in a little bit. I think he's hiding in his man cave. But for now, I'm gonna take you on a little bit of a tour and show you around my home in Alpharetta. So one of the things that I love that we did in the entryway was tearing down these lights. It was extremely important that when someone walked in, that immediately they felt welcome. So we tore out the lights, but we added these cool benches because when people come into your home, they always ask, should we take off our shoes? Well, this cool bench is made out of cowhide. It's extremely durable. You're not worried about sticky hands, denim jeans rubbing on it. And so I absolutely love this particular piece. And we did one on each side of our house. It's a joke, a running joke, that my house is like Noah's Ark. Everything is 2 by 2. So you'll see 2 lights, 2 lamps, 2 benches, and pretty much all through the house, it's kind of like that. I like symmetry. One of my favorite pieces are things like this box. What's interesting is this is a cool space that I typically hide tissue, but I think the tissue's gone out of here. There's one on that side. So anytime we have guests, instead of having like tissue boxes just kind of laying around or just are obvious, we put tissue in places like this that lift, and you could hide your tissue and, you know, give hugs and shed tears, and there's no embarrassment. So what's cool about this bowl, we have a forgetful fella in this house. I won't say any names, husband. But this unique bowl here is actually from a particular space in Africa. I absolutely love it. It's made out of onyx. It's super heavy, but it's a quick space and place that when you sit down, you can throw your keys and nobody forgets or runs through the house going, where's the keys? Where's the keys? Because there's also a joke in our home, being that it's 12,000 square feet, that don't forget your phone, don't forget your keys, or place something on it where you can find it. This particular painting is actually done by a female artist. It is a watercolor paint. It was very difficult to find two exact that could go in this space and provide symmetry, but I absolutely love it. It is, I forget what the actual name of the painting is, but the intention was that it was basically free and flowing. Like, it's not super defined, but a lot of the colors reflected the colors that we tend to put in our home, in the yellows and the browns and the whites. I love white. Even with kids, I love white. People come and visit and they're afraid of white. I have white in paintings and white in furnishings, and I absolutely love it. But this piece is a piece that you can just kind of stare and look at. No real definition, kind of like my life. So nothing says more about a home than the presence of your front door. This is a mahogany door. It's super heavy and very big. I'm about 5'6½", and so this tells you actually how tall the door is. What I love about this entryway also is that it's not just plain. There's beautiful dental molding, and as you walk on the other side of our entryway, there are these beautiful arches, and everything that was done here was hand completed. So if it messes up, we're gonna have to find somebody who has this type of technique that they know how to do this. But if you come into our dining room, we call it the White House dining room simply because I think we have the same symbol on our ceiling as in the White House dining room. And we mixed old with new. So we kept a lot of what was the original millwork that was done in this house, but we incorporated the Prescott lighting, which I love because it brings modern into the space. Again, lots of accents with white. You'll find crosses or symbolization all throughout our home about our love for Christ. And this dining room table, it looks a little short now, but believe it or not, it goes out to 12 feet and we can seat 12 people in here completely comfortable. So in this dining room, what I absolutely love was one year we had a Thanksgiving, and there was a woman, I was just led on my heart. She was working in security, and I asked her, what are you doing for the holidays? And she said, actually, I just lost 3 people in my family back to back, completely unexpected. And I just planned on spending the holidays alone. So this table was a table that have hosted many people like that. We enjoy pulling out the table, making it large, making sure that there's food in the center of the room. Right now we have these beautiful orchids. You're gonna see orchids all through my house because orchids stand for strength, beauty, luxury, which I absolutely love. And this particular dining room, what's interesting is not only have there been a lot of tears, but there's been a lot of laughter, fun conversations, and just strangers that are around the room that started out as strangers but ended up as friends. So we actually—
She came on to me.
I did not. Are you kidding me?
I know everybody's saying, looking at her right now and says, Lee, you married up. All my friends say that to me. They're like, oh, you married up. I said, yes, I did. Thank you very much. At least I know how to pick up.
Well, honestly, we met at a charity dinner, and it was interesting. During that time in his life, he had always been a person to give, but he was also not only giving money, but his time. And at that time, we were both at a press conference, and that's actually when we met. We exchanged phone numbers. He made some crazy, goofy story as to why he needed my number.
She came in with security. I was like, who is this girl coming in with security? Who is? And I didn't know he was security at first. I thought it was somebody she was with. But I said, nah, that's not her style. I'm going to go up to her anyway, ask for her phone number. She know who she want. Let me see.
The confidence is unreal.
I just asked for her phone number. Hey, but it worked out. I asked for her phone number, and then I started sending her text messages while we were being filmed.
Can I be clear? He started sending the text messages. I had not even walked out the door. I'm like, ding, who is this? And it's Lee. Hey, how you doing? I'm like, I just walked away from the press conference table. Can I get out to my car and buckle my seatbelt before you text me? But obviously it worked. He was confident in that. He might not be confident in comfy, fluffy pillows, but he's definitely confident in giving his phone number to me.
Yes, and when we had that chance to meet, I knew that she was the one. She didn't know it right away because she was an entrepreneur, and she said that she was going to be too busy. And if you look at our house is totally opposite of what she says. She's going to be busy with entrepreneurship, because our house is not, she actually doesn't like busyness in our home. I think she loves peace. And that's the thing that I love about her and I love about our house. And I could recognize that when we first met, that this was a woman of peace. This was a woman that would bring unity. This is a woman that was powerful. And, you know, some of us guys are macho, and we want this woman that is soft and this way or that way. Not saying there's something wrong with it, but sometimes you have to have that woman who actually is strong and can stand on her own. And she actually did, and that's what I loved about her. And when we met, the rest was over after that. That was history after that.
So now I'm going to take you to the rest of the house. Okay, so you saw the entryway. This is what we consider the receiving way. We're very intentional about our spaces. So even down to our books in our home, the first book that you see is Soul of a Home and Atmosphere, because that's what we try to set, the atmosphere, and help you understand the soul of our home. There's a picture of our family, and then we have a beautiful piano here. This hallway has been a space of praise and worship. So we've actually had producers from both the gospel music industry as well as the secular industry play this piano, and we literally line up in this area on the staircase. We sit along the staircase and we use this whole hallway to just sing, praise, worship, have a great time. And one thing that I love that I changed here was there's this rounded wall. Not sure how clearly you can see it, but there's a theme also throughout the house, not only with the intention of the words, but circles, like things come full circle. So for me, although at times I needed a home provided for me, God has now provided that home, and I've been able to provide a home for others. So I just kind of love the idea of everything kind of closes itself up. So there are a lot of circles in a sense in our home. That's intentional. It's not just design. Because this is the center of our home, it is the space that I think is extremely important and the number one thing that we want people to see. So you saw the soul of the home, you saw the atmosphere of the home, but this is probably one of my favorite areas of the house. This is where our Bible looks like it floats in midair, and it says, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." And because of this hallway that we have here, anywhere that you go, you can actually see this. And I just believe it embodies everything that we believe and how we want to focus. So here is our staircase, and it kind of looks like it's marble, but surprise, it's not. It's actually limestone. I've been to a lot of countries, specifically parts of Africa and Mexico, which a lot of limestone is used, and here we have limestone on the stairs. Now, to be honest, it could be a bit slippery, so grippy socks are important, but what I love is all of the detailing, and it goes all the way up, all of the millwork. And I think it just is very elegant, and it's traditional, but has a transitional flair. And what I love is that the staircase isn't the first thing that you see in the house. You actually have to come into the entryway to experience the limestone staircase. So I grew up in the Bay Area, Oakland, California, Bay Area. And what was so interesting and unique about my life is that for as long as I could remember, home was not necessarily a place that was completely stable. There were times in my life where we moved quite a bit, and at times even being homeless. And in California, there were these places that were model homes. And one thing that I loved about the model homes was that you could actually walk through the model homes and see them. And it was a place for me where I believed that I could actually dream and see something different than what I was seeing. I didn't even know it was possible to live in a home like that. And I thought, what do people do to even live in a space like this? And what was interesting about those experiences are that Even at times when I was homeless, even at times when I used cardboard boxes to create dresser drawers. And then I kind of moved on up because we went dumpster diving and would bring home things that people were willing to throw away, and we would refurbish those things and decorate our house with those things. I really felt like a sense of home and what it actually meant, but I just never had a stable ground. And so now today, my house is extremely important to me to create that.
What I can remember is growing up as a pastor's son, you know, being that person that came from a structured household with a mother and father that are still married today, been married for over 60 years. Yeah. And being in that structured household, understanding that things were supposed to be neat, things were supposed to be done, you were supposed to be obedient and listen. And just understanding what that was all about. Just growing up in a household that love was there, family was there, spent a lot of time with family, spent a lot of time with friends. My dad was a pastor, so understand, when you're a pastor's kid, you have people coming through your house all the time.
No matter how big or small it is.
And let me tell you, when me and my wife got married, I thought I was done with that, with people coming through all the time. Was I for a surprise? I got someone who wanted people to come through all the time. And our house is this place of peace. And, you know, I look at her sometimes and I just say, thank you, because she reminds me of what my mother used to do, and all the things that I loved about my mom, I also love about her. And the ironic thing, their birthday is on the same date. And that's what was so ironic. But the unique part about this whole thing is that we've watched how our lives not only was built separately, but then together, and then we built what I call a home that symbolizes both of who we are.
So I'm going to walk you to the living room. So here, this particular space was so important for me because as you walk into our home, it is actually the first thing that you see. So I took time, and this is actually a limestone fireplace as well. I tore out the original, there were actually 4 columns that made this house so super traditional, and I tore all of that out, made sure that the walls were clean, and then did this very clean limestone fireplace. Here's my circles again, just a reflection clearly of everything that we stand for. And I like to say this is Lee and I, and we're equal. I know he's bigger than me, but not here, he's not. So I was extremely intentional in this particular space because I like a space where women can talk, have coffee, share stories, and yes, of course, there are hidden tissue boxes even in this room. So these floor lamps are a symbolization. They look like pieces of palm that were actually dipped. I like these because they're interesting and they're just not a standard lamp. I like to gather a little bit of interest, and I think the character is needed to kind of bring in old and new. Believe it or not, this is an antique lamp. This is not a new lamp. We'll see some new lamps a little bit later in the house. So here are these awesome pillows. This is actual fabric that I was able to find. I mean, I spent hours in the fabric store on the floor, but I had these pillows made to really coordinate along with all of the colors using the blues and the cognacs. They're very soothing, very soft and complimentary. But I gotta show you these art pieces and this amazing piece here. As you can see, it is very, very tall. But what I love about this is it's a place where we store a lot of our books and different things. But this was actually found in an antique store. So our ceilings are pretty high. They're about 18 feet high in this particular space. So I needed something large and grand to kind of show up the space. Again, here's an example of my Noah's Ark. Here's one piece of artwork. And here's the sister, not the twin piece of artwork. What I love about this is the texture, and it is real canvas and actual paint.
I also played professional football for 8 years in the NFL, won the Super Bowl and had 2 Pro Bowls. And now I have a Super Bowl and a Pro Bowl wife.
I'm glad you know.
I'm glad you know. She is everything that you would hope for, and everything that you need. And you can see when you go throughout the house where she put the love in it. And that's what I love about her, is that she put love in the house. And when you play sports, you're very competitive. We're very competitive, and I can remember us being competitive about the house.
Decorating, specifically decorating, because our styles are actually completely different.
She kept calling me old school, and I kept saying, I'm not old school.
You are.
I have a mix.
No. You're old school.
So, hey, you know what? When you played in the NFL, some things you like rough. You don't want your guys coming over to the house saying, oh, that's cute. That's cute. Honey, please get rid of that fluffy pillow that you
cute
love.
And comfortable. I mix cute and comfortable.
You do. But I had to learn to soften up, because there was times that you have to learn to be soft, and there's times you have to learn to be hard. So with this blend, it helped, and I'm glad that we are here, because this is really my place of rest.
So I'm going to take you now to our family room space. And again, you're coming back to the center of the home. And as you walk into the family room space, you can actually see from one side to the other. Interesting enough, you'll see too, even with these doors, all of these doors I had ripped out and put in these doors for a great amount of lighting. I love natural light. Being a Californian Bay Area girl, I'm used to a lot of light being in the house. Sometimes I'm used to a lot of light because I lived outside. So I think I just love the light. But this is our family room space. I was extremely intentional with our sofas. My husband is pretty tall, former athlete, needs a lot of room for those long legs, and he has friends with long legs. So let me show you what we did here. Again, mixing old with new. So we took this sofa, which is pretty large in scale. The seat depth is about 46 inches deep. The intentionality behind this, again, was just so that he and his friends had the space, or just kids. We can pile up, love on one another, and spend time, because this is our family room space. Now, what I love about these pillows, they look fancy, right? These are actually from a line that I created. What's so awesome about them is that as nice as they look, they're extremely durable. You can beat them up, ruffle them around, fluff them up, and put them back, and the house still looks great. I was intentional about the fabric that was chosen on the sofa, simply because with a lot of company, and especially kids and family spaces, and it's white, you need to be able to take all of this apart and wash it and put it back on your sofa. So I'm going to show you, here's more of a new piece in reference to this table that we have. It's really, really large because it's still room when we're not in the moving room and we're sitting here. We do popcorn, drinks, soda, and sometimes people put their feet up. But my husband in this house, that's an absolute no-no. Here's an older antique piece. And what you'll see is there's gold leafing on it. So where somebody might say, oh my gosh, this is old school. Why would you put this in your home? I love the piece. It's substantial. It holds and houses all the things that we need, and it's a great place to hide those toys or just different items that kids come over and want to play with, so you can clean it up and neatly put it in something inside of this and it still looks good. I want to show you these chairs in this space. So these were old chairs that were going to be thrown out. And I took fabric that I was able to find. Not only did they take the legs off the chairs, I made sure that they spin so that you can turn and tilt towards the television. And in addition to that, they're white. It also is a performance fabric. And again, they were very old. So I changed the style, I kept the curve. But what was important to me, I didn't want them to be thrown away because I definitely could see how they could be repurposed. If you notice, there's no true separation. Our family room and our living room flow one into the other. So one reason that I love to use light colors or white colors is because it's easy to complement the palette, but also it doesn't absorb the space. My husband was like, are you sure you want to do white, especially in the family room? And I was like, absolutely, because I think when things are heavy, they anchor the space. I know that we invite a lot of people over and we love good conversation. So having a large sectional where we could sit together but not sit on top of each other was extremely important. And at the same time, having rooms of separation. In our living room, there's a fireplace. It's more a space where you converse, where here in the family room, there's an actual television and people sit and they watch TV and they kind of laugh. And to be honest, because there's this lovely hall of separation, although we can see one another, we share the same space, but we actually can have our own conversation. So over here, people can be watching TV and commenting on what they're seeing and what they're watching. And over there, they can have intimate conversation. And to be honest, we're not on top of one another and we're also not over talking one another. So that's what I loved about how we were able to lay out this space specifically. Well, today, I am a serial entrepreneur, author, Emmy-nominated television host for a show that I did around autism. And I would love to say that a lot of the adversity that I've gone through is what actually built me to become the entrepreneur that I am today. And it's also the thing that has made my house truly a home, not just for my family, but for others that we serve. I'm going to walk you now over to the kitchen, and what you're going to see is that this whole space just opens and flows one thing into the other. So here we have a table that seats 6 people. A lot of conversation goes down at this table as well. There's breakfast, there is Uno games. We play cards, Monopoly, although we even have a separate space in the house for that. But this allows us to enjoy each other as well as right here be in the family room and be a part of the conversation. I want to walk you to my kitchen. This was one of the favorite parts of my house that I was able to remodel and do. And there was a lot of richness, I believe, and intentionality in reference to this house, specifically the kitchen. So because our kitchen is completely open, it was very important for me that you didn't see refrigeration. Now, it's hard to hide a stove, but the stove, I wanted to feel more like jewelry, just like I wanted our hood to feel more like jewelry. But before we even get there, this island, this was a very, very small island, believe it or not. It is now 10.5 feet, but the initial island, I believe, was 6.5 feet. So to find a piece of stone, which this particular stone came from Israel, and what I love about it is the veining. And there's such rich story behind that because veining in stone makes it cost a lot more money. But most people would think veining or something is a mistake or they try to get things clear. What's interesting is with stone, in order to get the beautiful veining, it takes pressure. And so that to me resonated so much because it costs more with more veining, and in order to get the veining, you have to have pressure. And for me, that's kind of been the story of my life. It is that there's all this beautiful veining on the inside of me, like this stone, and it took a lot of pressure to get there. These stools that we put with the stone pull out the cognac color. These were actually brass stools, and they were gray. But I found leather that was the cognac color, which is kind of the theme throughout our house. And I had these recovered, and I absolutely love them. And I think the more they're used, the more vintagey they become. They just kind of fit right in with everything. You can't have a house without cookie jars. And normally there's more than 2 flavors. There's chocolate chip and snickerdoodle. But we're trying to reduce sugar a little bit around here. And so right now it's just peanut butter cookies and oatmeal. But what I love is that it's just not a simple cookie jar. Intentionally, these are wood walnut covers to kind of go with all of the wood that you'll see sprinkled throughout the house. So interesting enough, this is not a cabinet. This is a freezer. I'm not sure how clean it looks on the inside, but hey, who's caring? So this was very intentional because, again, this particular space that I'm standing in faces out to both our family room, you can actually see a portion of our formal living room, and you can see a dining room area. It was extremely important that you didn't have these big stainless steel pieces that were there. And then it helped keep your eye on this beauty, which happens to be an 11-foot brass and stainless steel hood. It took 6 men, and 2 of them former NFL players, to lift this hood and keep it in place until they can actually, you know, get it to stay. I was extremely intentional about seasons and spices too, because all of this space gave me more area to cook, enough area to prep, and I needed things to be easily accessible. So I have all these kinds of slides that are built in that allow me to reach my seasons relatively easy. Now, the one thing that I'm standing on that you can't see, but I'm sure they're going to show you, is an area where people walk in my kitchen and then all of a sudden it's a massive pause. Because what we're walking over is a glass wine cellar. So I'm sure we're going to take you down there a little bit later, but what I'm standing on is above my wine cellar. And you can see down there, and it's a cool space to kind of hang out. There's a ton of space, but it gives ambiance and lighting actually from the wine cellar up through the kitchen, even when all the lights are off. So let me tell you, I do like to cook when I have time, because I like to prep, and I spend a lot of time kind of thinking through the recipes. We have 2 large pantries in this house, but one of my favorite things is we also have 2 dishwashers on this floor. And in addition to that, we have all these cool pieces of cabinetry, which shows all of the things that I love to use while I'm cooking, and even the cool drawer and drawer pieces to keep everything organized. I am fanatic about organization. So for any woman that's out there, the drawer and drawer thing is the thing to go with. The other thing that I think was extremely important for me, going back again to organization, is things like this. You can hang pots on the inside as well as additional seasonings. Now, you know, my husband grew up old school. His family is from the South. They like a lot of seasoning. And my mother is both Hispanic and white, and she loves a lot of seasoning. So there's a variety of seasons here because we also like foods from all sorts of countries. And so I have the curry spices and the African spices and the Spanish spices, and what I would consider soul food spices. I'm gonna take you to my scullery, but before I do that, this beauty right here is the refrigerator. So, we have a refrigerator with drawers on the bottom. And if you noticed, again, symmetry, that was extremely important to me. The freezer doesn't have drawers, but I was able to have the cabinetry built, and it looks like just like the refrigerator, except for these are actually working drawers that open, and the freezer just has a look to it. Now I'm going to take you to my little spot that I think is the coolest place in the house. It might even be the smallest place in the house, quite honestly, but it is the scullery. So what this is kind of like a back kitchen, if you will. It's a preparation area. This is where we have our coffee machine, and we have tons of teas. Tons. I mean, what do you want? I got it all. Orange, green, chai, you name it. But this is a beautiful coffee machine. I love everything clean and put away. There's tons of space to prep here, as well as display different dishes that I've purchased in places, anything from TJ Maxx to Portugal, Spain. It lives in these cabinets. And what you'll see here is also a dishwasher. You typically knock and this thing opens. I absolutely love this feature in the house. I don't really use my dishwasher. I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of old school. I fill the sink and wash the dishes. So again, I love lots of light, and this pass-through window was actually extremely intentional. It also, when you're back here prepping, you're not feeling like you're in a cave and by yourself and not part of the conversation. So as you can see right through here, this is typically where all of the family conversation is happening and going down. You can see not only to this family room, but also somewhat into the dining room, which is the eating kitchen space, not the formal dining room. And what I love about that is, hey, I can join in the conversation about the football game, what's happening on the news, or whatever's happening in the world, just simply because this window is open. So the one thing that was a must for our house is, I don't know about many of you, but kids constantly open the refrigerator, and so do guests. So we got a see-through beverage refrigerator so people can see what they want to drink. Or they're always asking us, do you have Coke? Do you have sparkling water? Do you have regular water? Do you have juice? Well, it's all right here. And they don't have to open the refrigerator and shut the refrigerator. So right here, I'm able to clearly, or you can clearly see that you can see whatever it is that you want, and you can get the beverage of your choice. I'm gonna walk you to the space and place where I love to place my dishes. Now, I have to be honest with you, I'm not sure how often we use dishes. We actually have a space for plasticware and, you know, paper plates and things like that, but my husband's old school and he still prefers dishes. What I love about this is like a little bit of a night light too for us. So our dishes are illuminated and lit up, but right here, I added a couple of delicate plates. They're pretty cool, right? They're basic, but just like our house, there's a little bit of design to it. And then there's just your plain old white plates. My favorite glasses are these. They're the ones that look like bubbles. So when you fill it up, there's actually a bubble between the actual beverage and the glass itself. So in this space, as you saw, we have a wine cellar that's downstairs. Well, just in case no one feels like going downstairs, there's a small little wine cabinet up here as well. And we maximize this island. So normally people just have an island and they have a ton of drawers, but since we were able to build cabinets and cabinets and have all this unique space, we have a wine cellar on one side, and follow me on this side. There's a cool little microwave over here. We have a son who's on the spectrum. And so we were very intentional about making sure that he can access what I would consider his dishes, which are paper plates, right here. Place things, gives him working space, right? And he can place everything in the microwave. Now, whether you have a kid on the spectrum, he now can cook on the stove. But whether you have a kid that's on the spectrum or not, I think it's just a cool space and place for any kid when you're trying to teach them a level of independence. So I'm gonna take you to my husband's favorite space, which you would think is the man cave, but it's actually our bedroom. Let's go. So welcome to my primary bedroom. Uniquely enough, it is not the largest room in the house. It's a little bit what I would consider on the cozy side. I believe the original owner's intention was for owners to stay out of the bedroom, but it's my husband's favorite spot in the house, so he actually stays in the bedroom. So I had to be intentional about how I put this together, considering what he likes to do, which is typically watch the game and read the Bible. In this space, again, I went with the same similar color scheme throughout the house, but different textures and different fabrics. So let's take this for example. This actual piece here is a piece of fabric that I found, and the intention behind this was not only to bring all of the same similar colors that you will see throughout the home, but I love the softness. I found both this fabric and put it together and created a throw out of it. The other thing is, this was our bed, and during the COVID season, it was extremely hard to get beds. So I actually had this custom made with the same performance fabric. So if you purchase a lot of fabric or love fabric, save it, because you never know how you're going to use it. And so again, clean, fresh, simple. Our bedroom set is pretty modern. Even down to the bench, this was also made out of performance fabric that I had. I literally sat down and drew out how I wanted this to fit, and then figured out material and found material that would coordinate. For anybody out there who's doing a house, you know, I'm not a professional decorator. It's not like I went to school for this. I just love creating spaces. And so if you have fabric, or you find out that you have fabric that you don't want to let go of, even from old pillows, or that was on an old sofa, but the sofa's worn out, you can actually take those things and completely repurpose them, which is what I did over here. So we talked earlier about the leather seats that I had that were in my kitchen, the bar stools. Well, that same similar leather, I had lots of it. And I was able to take these old chairs, keep the style of them, but yet have them completely redone in the cognac leather. And so nothing went to waste, including these pillows, which are part of an ottoman that was torn apart and then put together. I made throw blankets, very similar with the other fabric. On this side, I put that soft fabric, which this is pretty heavy. And then on this side, the material typically is kind of used for curtains, but I thought, who cares? I don't want them for curtains, I want them for a throw. And that's exactly what we did to make this space cozy and comfortable. So here, this is our intimate space. So these are just pictures of my husband and I at different areas. This was at a friend's wedding. This was at the football game. This was a family trip to Cabo. This is a place and a space where I was being awarded for the work that I do as an entrepreneur. This was when I was also being awarded for the work that I do as an entrepreneur, and this was my 40th birthday. And so uniquely enough, we don't have a ton of family photos in the house, but where we do have photos, or where we do have you know, helmets or just things that reflect our past, we're very intentional about what we hang up, and there are all sorts of stories that go with each of these pictures. What's interesting about our space is that, one, I love it because we're on the first floor, but we are going to transition over to our bathroom, and we actually have separate closets, which I also love. So, like I mentioned, there are two different closets, but we're not going to take you into them today, nor are we going to take you into the water closet. But what's interesting about this bathroom is that actually the original owner had an infinity for the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. So I got a chance to inherit some of the amazing woodwork that was already here, but then I came through and added my own touches. Here, this is an awesome claw tub, which you will love. Again, mixture of the old and new. If you can see the stainless steel type of handles and the old school character that it actually has, which is very complementary to the home. We can see right outside, but although we can see outside, it's completely private, and all of our shades are electronically done. So we don't have to crawl over the tub to get the shades. This cabinetry was the cabinetry I inherited, and quite honestly, when we first got to the home, I was like, I don't want it. And then I realized it's made out of burl walnut shipped from England. It's the actual same walnut that's used in Bentley products. And so I really loved it. And what was more interesting for me, for my husband, was that we could be in this bathroom. There's tons of space. We each have our own side. But for him, it's important to either hear the news or watch sports on a regular basis. And so we have this TV that's actually in our mirror. And what's cool is sometimes when he's in the other room and I'm in here getting ready for something, and he's always like, babe, did you see that? He turns the TV on. But we're gonna transition right now to my office. This is where all the real work goes down. Follow me. So one of the cool features about my house is this door. It's a quick way to kind of sneak away and not walk in all of the main hallways. But it is also easy for me to kind of get in here, do the things that I need to do early in the morning, and I start my day off with a prayer call, typically about 6:30, 5 days a week with a few amazing women. But this particular space is my personal sanctuary, and it is a mix of old and new, well-traveled and repurposed items. So I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about this desk that I'm standing in front of. This was an old executive desk, right? And again, I'm a modern girl. There's some modern in me here, but there's also traditional and transitional. So what I did, instead of throwing this desk completely out, I repurposed it. I ripped off the top of the desk and actually had stone that was measured and the warm colors and tones that matched my office, and I just had them install stone on top of my desk. This made it easy, it didn't make it feel heavy, and I didn't have to waste a perfectly good desk simply because it seemed a little too old. I am over coordinated, as you saw it within my kitchen. I know we didn't go through every drawer, but I think everything has a space and place, and this includes all of my books. So although they are done not only in title or like leadership or marriage or, you know, personal development, but they're also color coded. And this is also like my closet. I really was concerned about the office because there's so much wood in here, and this is actual real wood. And I thought, how could I lighten this up? So instead of painting it, and if I would have painted it, it would have completely ruined all the wood. So I decided to figure out ways to highlight it, right? To make it feel warm, yet still inviting and not dark and heavy. So initially, the back of these bookcases, they were just wood, and I had them wallpapered in a lighter color and like a raffia. And this gave it more texture and depth. And instead of damaging the wood, I get to keep these beautiful wood bookcases, but yet lighten the space up. The ceilings were also dark and heavy. And so you'll see that I painted just the center of the ceilings white. That brought the room more alive, and it didn't feel like it was heavy or I was in a cave. I took time changing out the lighting. These are alabaster lights, again. The alabaster box in the Bible, but these are amazing lights and unique features. These are bone, made out of actual bone. The mirror is made out of bone, and this is made out of bone. Not from people, and no, I didn't kill any animals, but these were animals that had already passed away for whatever reason, or whatever happened to them, and the actual tribes put together these items out of the bone. Waste nothing, remember that. Again, you'll see more cowhide. These are ottomans, and what I love about these ottomans, I'm not one to put all my awards out everywhere, so I find a place to hide them. In here, I have everything from Lifetime Achievement Awards to, you know, that influential woman or whatever awards I've had, and I just typically hide them in here. My husband likes them to be on display. I don't. So if there's anything that you want to hide, ottomans are a great way. It provides extra seating, but more importantly, it also provides extra storage. These here are what I would African juju hats. What's interesting about the spaces and places I've been to Africa, I've had an opportunity to build centers in Africa for autism and work with 43 countries on autism. And the one thing that was near and dear to my heart are these African juju hats. Typically, this is a sign of royalty, and the women wear these hats on their head. These are actual real chicken feathers, and they dye them according to their tribe. I'm an honorary princess in a place in Africa just because of my work, but I love these hats, and it's consistent reflection of all of the many women who, all of us in our own way, are royalty. So a lot of the work that I've done in Africa, and actually a lot of places in the world, Africa is just the two places where two centers are located. That work has been to help women not forget about themselves, quite honestly, to understand that they have purpose. And when you're dealing with the kid on the spectrum, that can be pretty heavy. So this office also incorporates a sofa and a television that's right behind you. The intention behind that is I have lots of conversations with women, more so pointing them to their purpose and everything that God's called them to be. So as a serial entrepreneur, I build people because people also build businesses. You know, most people would say they build businesses. I like to say I build people who build those businesses. And so either I keep them and keep them for a long time, or I'll sell them in 3 to 5 years. The one thing that I love is that I create tons of relationships. I'm a systems process girl, and in that process I come across so many talented women from all different backgrounds, experiences, and I'm able to pour into them a different way outside of what you would consider to be in a corporate setting or marketplace setting. What's also great is I write. Most people don't know a whole lot about that. Sure, I've been Emmy nominated for a television show that I wrote around autism, but I've also written a book. I co-authored a book which is something that I have hanging on the wall. My husband asked me, just put one thing up. So this is the one thing. It's called What It Takes to Win. And this was really about me being a best-selling author and my focus around business. And interesting that I approach business completely different than most people do. I think part of winning and understanding success is really about understanding yourself. And I think it also falls in the space and place of forgiveness. So this is something I did a while ago, but currently I have a journal that's going to be released at the top of the year, January 2024, called I Will. And there have been a lot of tears in this office space, not only for myself, learning to adjust and pivot, change my language from simply I can, but knowing that I will. And I will because I believe in Christ, and I know that He is going to be the thing that sustains me and propels me to my purpose. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this cool office furniture that I have. Again, creams and whites. You're never going to get bored in this house. You'd think because there's lots of whites and creams, it's really texture and textiles and how you put things together. Cowhide, okay? Your best friend, my best friend. This here is cowhide that's been placed on pillows. And I love it because, again, it's super durable. I have a little niece that comes over, and I have grandchildren, and I'm not worried about what they put on them. These particular sofas are extremely important because, look, I spend hours sometimes. My husband likes all the lights off. I need to be here sometimes reading, writing, talking, and praying with other people. But I want to show you something that's so super significant to me, outside of a couple of family photos that are in here, because we do have those. But there are different symbolizations like the elephant. So here is an elephant. And I don't know how many of you guys know about the female elephant. The female elephant, this speaks so heavily to me because most people don't realize that elephants, when they are giving birth, the women actually surround the elephant. They surround the elephant and they protect her, and they kick up dust because as she's giving birth, they keep all of the predators away from her so that she can safely give birth. And because I'm such a girly girl and love women and want to see them be the best that they've been called to be, everything in my office consistently speaks to me, from the feathers on the wall to the juju hats to the actual elephant and even the symbolization in different things. All of this stuff reminds me of really truly what my purpose is, which is to empower, encourage, and inspire other women and make sure that they don't lose hope. The interiors of our home is timeless and traditional. It is an honest mix of old and new. I don't believe in throwing things out. There's so many things in my life. I look at how people could have thrown me away, right? In a lot of ways, I feel like I'm refurbished. And so what's interesting is my house reflects that. I didn't want to waste anything. I remember needing a mill or wanting a dresser or wishing that I had a certain style bedroom. And so a lot of the things that typically people would throw out or think are old, I find a way to make it new all over again. And as you walk through the house, we'll be able to talk through a lot of the different things that I've repurposed and reused. Everything from jackets to stone has been reused. So you've seen some of my favorite spaces. Let's go find my husband and figure out what his favorite spaces are. There you are. Doesn't look like you're playing too good of a game of pool. Did you miss it?
Of course. You know.
If I put this one in the hole, that means
whoa.
scratch.
That's not the objective of the game. That's why you stay up there and I stay down here.
Well, look, I want you to show people this particular space and why it's so important to you. And we can start with some of these awesome helmets behind you.
Oh, you talk about these awesome helmets?
Yeah.
Of course, this is the team I played for. This is actually the 49ers helmet. This is Clark, who had the famous catch with the San Francisco 49ers. So this helmet actually was signed by him, and he actually drafted me. This is the guy that drafted me, and this is when they were going to the Super Bowl. And Dwight Clark made the famous catch that they talk about all the time. And these are just different helmets that they've started to put into the picture.
Well, no, this is an important helmet. This is Jimmy Garofalo's helmet.
Yeah, it's Jimmy's signature. It's
it's not his helmet. Oh my gosh. Tomato.
But this is a very significant one because it has the catch. And that's with Dwight Clark, who actually ended up drafting me.
So let's kind of talk about, I like to call it your little wall of fame. By the way, this is not all the helmets you have, but these are significant. Can you talk to everybody about why they're so significant?
Well, of course, this is a very significant one because this is all about community right here. So when you talk about this is about community, and that's what, when you retire from the NFL, you end up being in the community, so being a part of the NFL alumni, which I'm currently a part of. This helmet, a lot of people say, did you play for the Giants? No, I didn't play for the Giants, but I made the Pro Bowl. So what happens is with this helmet, you end up getting one of these helmets. You trade with a teammate. So that's what you end up doing. You trade with someone else that is also in the Pro Bowl. And of course, I'm gonna skip this one because you know that one.
No. Do you see the signature on it?
Well, there's many signatures on it.
Jerry Rice is on this helmet, guys.
Who I played with. This is the Lombardi Trophy. Of course, I won the Super Bowl. And this is part of a duplicate. It's not actually the one. The one that we won is actually sitting in San Francisco with the 49ers, but they allowed us to get a duplicate. Actually, my wife actually surprised me, did all these phone calls and did this stuff to get it. And so I was surprised. It was actually my birthday when she said, "Hey, honey, guess what?" And I was like, "Oh, really?"
I want to remind you that you're a champion. Wait,
Exactly.
What about this ring?
No, my ring's upstairs.
Oh my gosh.
We keep that ring in the safe, yes.
Well, for insurance purposes, that's exactly where it needs to be.
So, and then of course another Pro Bowl helmet. This is a school I went to. It's Westchester University. I went to a Division II school. A lot of people, the significance in that is that Division II players weren't known to be drafted, and that's when the draft was cut down. So I actually didn't end up going to the combines, and I actually ended up getting drafted and going without going to the combines. So that's very significant to me because this is where my career actually started. And of course, another NFL alumni, and then of course, NFL footballs. And there's a lot more stuff around this house that my wife sets and puts, and she knows when one thing is missing, or I move one thing and say, "Oh, let me put that over here."
Put that right back. What are you doing? I think too, what's important is that we wanted to create a hall of fame with significance. There are so many jerseys, so many helmets, so many articles, but the real champion in our house is Jesus. So there's enough out here to kind of remind you of what our history is and where we've come from for each of us. But the real winning champion is the Lord.
That's right. That's the only champion. Because he got me to where I wanted to be.
You want to talk about this particular space?
This is a game space. Of course, I'm not the greatest at pool, so I'm not even going to front in front of my friends and say, "Oh, you're so great. You just..." No, I'm not the greatest at pool. I just like items. I like items that people can play and people can be around, and my wife thought of getting this. But let you know a little secret, this is actually Terri's favorite game. Right here in Pac-Man, those games, that's what she loves. Always playing hockey, and I'm over here or sitting right here watching everyone else.
He's actually sitting and watching everyone else, but air hockey is definitely a game that we love.
See, this is where you get into the women's side of things. Right here, normally I would say remove this, put bar stools up, have all the things, but she wanted to come down. The chairs were sitting here. She was like, "Honey, I need to change the chairs." I said, "That's fine. Go ahead, change it." Came back. I don't know what type of skin this is or what this is. What is it?
These were our gray cowhide rugs. We repurposed them.
Oh, gray cowhide rugs. I remember the first time they came here, people were sitting on them. They're like, "What's sticking me? What's sticking?" It was the cowhide. And then all of a sudden she came back and she had it smoothed down, and I was like, "Yeah, you know, that was meant to be stepped on, not for us to sit on
Oh
like
my
that.
gosh.
But, you know, of course, this is where the female part came in. But she did a beautiful job with it. I'm telling you, you did a beautiful job. I love it. But here's the unique part about this. If you have on jeans or anything, what do I say?
Don't sit on my sofa. But they actually can.
They can,
And
because of
it's
the fabric
deep.
you make.
What you have to
Yes.
think about is it's deep and wide, because you have friends that are super tall, super wide.
It is.
And they need space. So although it doesn't look as deep as it is, show them. Sit back, show them.
It is. It's very deep. It's actually super deep. And I like it because it is deep. And I like lounging. And it feels good. And yes, I am very particular about when people sit on it, because I'm like, I like to keep everything fresh. She's like, you're so bad. So, of course.
Hence why there's a lot of cowhide around here, so you
And
can wipe a lot of
again,
stuff off.
There's a lot of pillows. Okay, this is where, again, this is the male and female room. So, and a lot of her friends do come down here, and they enjoy being down here. But they go right back upstairs pretty quickly. What gives this house a soul and makes it come alive, it has to be the people. Because the house itself is the structure, and it's together, and it's pieces that sit there. These pieces will outlast us. We understand that. But when you know that your spouse put their soul and mind and heart into it, that's what gives it. When you can feel that love, when she goes and she picks out a couch and she looks at it, but she looks at the couch not for herself, she looks at it for everyone else. And so I've seen my wife do that over and over again. And I'm kind of a selfish person a little bit, not too much, but
You're selfish. It's all right.
But I've seen her pour into so many people, and I've seen her do the house that way, to say, oh, your mother's gonna be coming, she'll like this, she'll want this. So the house has been where she's thought of others, and sometimes I have to remind her, hey honey, think of yourself. Hey, what do you want? And then when I found out that the love that she was having in decorating the house, that was her pouring out what was inside of her, and all those things that trapped her when she was younger, when she didn't feel like she could have, or she didn't feel like she was going to have. I seen all of it come out and just pour. I sat there and I watched it, because what I was able to do was live in her beauty that gave me the good feeling inside of, man, I always love coming home. Because sometimes you can come home and not love it. You could come home and be like, oh, I'm coming back home and want to do more and want to do more. I actually love being at home, and I love the fact that she put everything into it, and you can feel the love, you can feel her soul, and most of all, you can feel God throughout it.
I would say the thing that makes a home have a soul, I think it's the intention. It's the intention of the design. It's the intention of how do you want to use your home. I've learned, because people gave to me to give back. And when you have a home, it's your private space, right? And you think, this is mine, I've earned it, it's an investment, or whatever reason why people purchase homes. But I think I look at a house and I look at how this home could serve and support other people. There's a scripture in our home, you'll get to see, it's right on this wall. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And what's so interesting is that is the soul of it. It is the moment that you walk in the door, from the intentional of the lighting, to the intention of the colors, to the intention of the spaces. What would I need if I were going through a divorce? What would I need if I lost a child? What would I need if I were diagnosed with cancer? What would I need if I had to completely start over and lose my finances? What would I need? And we have had so many of those situations in our home. And so when I think about the people that have to come here, the intention behind the design is to give them rest and healing, for them not to think through. We put notebooks in our rooms. We're very intentional about what their experience is. And so The soul of the home is the people, but it's also the intention of the design for the people who will be there. So outside of using this particular space for what you see it as with gaming, you know, the Pac-Man, the pool tables, the air hockey, we have chess and what is that? Tic-tac-toe. I couldn't even think of it. We have all of those types of things and multiple TVs. But what's also cool is that there's a guest space that's down here. This also provides a living room, a kitchen. There's 2 gyms that are down here that allow guests to feel comfortable and in their own space with tons of privacy.
I love working out because I like to stay in shape. So let's talk about this gym space. At first, I had the space that you work out in. Of course, it was heavy, it was equipment and stuff like that. All of a sudden, my wife comes down. She looks at it. She goes, I can't work out here. It's just too much. I'm like, what? We should move it. I'm like, move it where? I got put in the back, and all the female stuff got put over here. That's why I said
calling it female stuff. Cardio is for anybody.
Because this is you know the truth. This is a male and female cave. So it's a new thing. We're gonna start a new trend. The male and female cave. That's what it is. That's what you should call it.
I wouldn't call it a cave.
Well,
personally, I'm just saying.
What would you call it?
It wouldn't be a cave. It just wouldn't be that.
Okay, she'll come up with the word for it, but it is a shared space between.
What about she shack?
No.
I'm gonna take you to the guest room. So in this particular space, this is one of our guest rooms. What I love about our terrace level, also known as the basement, right, or the man cave, is that our ceilings are very, very high. Actually, they're even higher on this floor than they are in our main house. And so the ceilings are high. It doesn't make you feel like you're in a space that's heavy. For anybody who's building a house, it is worth the investment for the high ceilings. Our doors are 10 feet tall. Even in the terrace level, our ceilings are about 15 feet to 18 feet tall in this particular area. But this is a guest space. We actually have guests coming.
We actually stayed in this room when my parents came.
We did. So we've actually used our own guest space. So here, what's so cool is within this particular space, for all of our guests, we always put together a guest box. It includes magazines and notebooks and snacks, a cool little travel kit and just things like that. We're intentional. Again, there's a notebook that's here that I talked about. We put fresh flowers. Everybody likes a Reese's peanut butter cup, right? Like, you know, who could go without a Reese's peanut butter cup? We have fresh water, drinking water for the guest. We're intentional about all of our covers. Again, tons of textiles and textures. Our curtains are silk, where our pillows are a combination of velvet and a different cotton silk that we have here. And so the color scheme in this room is more so in the green family because it's inviting and warm and easy and you don't have to think about anything. So also in a lot of our guest rooms, again, this is one of many of the guest rooms that are in our house. A lot of them actually have desks. This gives time for our guests to sit down, and I won't call them guests, they're family. This gives time for people to kind of sit, read, write, be at the desk, do work if they need to. But what I love about most of our guest rooms, or all of our guest rooms, they either have these beautiful type of chairs or they have a sofa. So all of our guest rooms are equipped with everything that you would need in a hotel, because that's the idea, is allow them to have the peace, the tranquility, not think about anything, and be here to heal, have hope, rest and refuge, right? That's the name of this place. And we do have television in here, but we hide it behind beautiful cabinetry like these. We're going to take you to the bathroom. So here is the bathroom. Again, very tall ceilings, and we're very intentional. Makeup towels. These are the coolest things to have, especially if you have white towels. And make sure that your guest makeup doesn't stain your good towels, and you can bleach them, bleach them, bleach them. In addition to that, We have a steam shower that's actually here, and what we love about it is that you can not only just take a regular shower, but it gives you the feeling of a spa. And then you can also walk outside, and I think this door's locked and I can't open it, but that's okay.
That's what I'm here for.
Oh my God. Macho, he can open a door. But out here is another sitting area, and a lot of our guests come outside and they sit and they have coffee on the terrace. We also have outdoor televisions.
And they love this terrace because it wraps around the house.
When I think of what home means, it means family. It means an extension of family. It means love. It means embraced. It means blessed. It means favored. Sure, stability and all of those different types of things. But home means protection. And I finally realized that home was when I didn't have to pack up a bag and nobody could tell me anymore that I had to go. And so home means whatever I needed to mean at the time. I mean, I feel like I'm grateful that I have the flexibility in my life. I'm not tied to just one thing. If I have to pack up and go, I know how to, and I think I have the resilience to do that, and God's given me the grace to manage through those types of things in my life. But when I think of home, I just think of protection, love, embrace, and honestly, home for me is for others. It just means for others outside of just my family.
Home for me means, I mean, she taught me what home meant, because as an athlete, even in high school or whenever times, I was hardly home. I was always practicing or doing something. Mm-hmm. So you grow up not really knowing what home is. You think it's just your family. But then marrying my wife, I started understanding what home was. I started understanding why so many people were in my life during that time that my father was still pastoring now. But she took it to another level to where it was about family and gathering and getting together. And what was this about?
And family not being just blood.
And family not being just blood, because everyone, all of our friends call us family. But it was almost like she was teaching me to enjoy home, enjoy where you live, enjoy every moment of it, live in it, invite others to be a part of it. Because like I said, I was the person to say, oh, okay, enough people, that's enough. But she showed me how to embrace, how people were being healed, how people were being blessed, how people were motivated by what they seen. They would leave and say, oh, I want to live, or I want to have, or I want to do. Hey, can you come and make my house feel like this, make my home feel this way? And I started knowing what home really was. And I might have not, and for those that are listening, sometimes we don't realize what home is because we're always on the move. But I can tell you, if you step back and take time to breathe and understand what someone puts into it, you'll feel the soul of a house begin to birth out of you, but you also will feel what home is all about, and you'll never want to let it go.
Let me take you to the wine cellar. This is where some of our couples like to have date nights. Truth be told,
we don't drink.
Lee and I don't drink wine.
At all.
And we do collect it, but what's cool is this wine cellar is meant for you to not just go in and grab a bottle, but to sit and stay a while. Come on. So here's where a lot of action takes place, mainly for our guests. We've literally had people have dates in this space. So this is our wine cellar. Come on in. So in this space is where people actually have dates. We've not actually been on a date here. That is not for you. So people have actually sat here, been served here. We do have lovely bottles of wine. My husband actually knows, even though neither one of us drink, he knows a lot about wine. But it is a great, cool space in our house. And to be honest, I'll give you a little hint. For anybody who has hot flashes, this room is freezing. So a lot of people come in here for that reason also. And what we love so much about it is that this is the space that also illuminates our kitchen. If you look up, that's how we walk back and forth across our kitchen. So a lot you can see from upstairs. So this cellar actually holds, I think, a little over 5,000 wine bottles, and I don't think we have more than 1,700. So our idea is when we fly different places to continue to either collect or we get them as gifts. And quite honestly, we keep a lot of wine because a lot of our guests love it and like to pair it with food. And so it's cool that we have it, and it gives us something to finish right along with a few other things that we need to do in the house.
When I used to drink wine, I used to love drinking, having a glass of wine and being able to taste the notes in the wine. When you learn about the wines and how it pairs with the food, it's very different. And when you learn that this wine goes with steak, this wine goes with the type of soup, or if you're having lobster or chicken, those different wines, you can actually taste the difference in your food. And you can actually taste the difference in the notes. And I try to tell people, a lot of people don't understand why they make the long flutes of the glass, because most people grab a glass here at the top. But if you grab a glass at the top, what you're doing is you're heating the wine. So therefore, you're changing the notes in the wine. And when you change the notes in the wine, it gives you a different flavor. So you're supposed to drink the wine from the flute, because that's where it doesn't change the taste of the wine.
So what we were blessed to have this cellar be original part of the house, but then we put our own style and taste in it. And again, it's not for us. That's the crazy part. We don't drink wine. And what's also been interesting is we've hosted couples that are having challenges within their marriage. And this thing is like a vault, okay? You can come in here and eat and argue, and nobody can hear you. So this has been a very cool space for people to enjoy. And interesting fact, my sister came here, was uncertain about the person that she was going on a date, because it was like a blind date that she was set up on. And the only way she would go is if she went on a date at her sister's house. And this is where they met.
That's funny.
So, since we've allowed everybody else to use the cellar and not ourselves.
Yes.
No. I think, Homeworthy, it's time for you to go, because we're going to take up ourselves on this offer that we've given everybody else. Lee?
That's right. Have a grape.
Oh, gosh.
Feed me the grape.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.